Hello everyone, it's DH1C again. This is our program. Just like all other 3D programs, we see the viewport in the center, where our objects, lights, animations, and so on will be. And on the right side, we have parameters and tools that we will use to manipulate our objects. It's like a control panel in an airplane, nothing complicated. Let's first get familiar with some basic scene controls, starting with the viewport. So, I delete everything that was automatically created here, and together we will create a primitive object. We press Shift plus A, and a list of objects appears. Here we need to select Mesh, and then we choose our favorite Blender monkey. By clicking on the monkey, we can press the period key near the numpad, and it will center the view so it's right in front of the object we selected. And to move in the viewport, we need to press Shift plus middle mouse. To rotate, just use the middle mouse, and we all love the scroll for zooming. Also, zoom can be done by pressing Ctrl plus middle mouse. To delete an object, simply press Delete. Don't forget to keep recording everything. Now let's dive a bit deeper into moving objects. If we press the G key, we can freely move the object. If we press Z while moving, it will only move vertically. X moves it left and right, and Y moves it forward and backward. Right-click will cancel the position. Rotating is simple as well, just rotate it, and scaling can be done to change the size of the object. I will go into more detail about this in future lessons. Here, by default, there are 2 panels of settings, and we'll talk about the first one. Of course, Blender has many panels, but today we'll cover the basics. So the first main panel is called Editor Type, Outliner. Here we can see what we've created in the scene, and we can organize them for convenience. Let's make an example. Here's our object. We can rename it by double-clicking the name. In the right corner, there are 2 default eye icons. If you click the first one, you won't see the object in the scene, and the second one hides it from the render. Inside, there are collections where we can organize our objects to avoid confusion. Let's create a copy of the object by pressing Shift plus D. Now we have 2 objects, and we can create a new collection and move the objects there. We can also rename the collection. Let's move on to the properties. There are a lot of parameters here, but today we won't cover them all, just the main ones. By default, the object's properties are shown. This parameter is for controlling the object's position, data, and so on. For example, you can adjust the object's location and scaling. We'll dive deeper into the rest of the settings in future lessons. Now, let's do something with our object and render it to take our first step toward production. To rotate the viewport along the axis, press Alt plus middle mouse. What do we need for that? Of course, a camera so we can set the angle. Press Shift plus A and choose the camera, move it. To rotate the camera, press Ctrl so it rotates along the axis of the camera, and press 0 to enter camera view. Now we see from the camera's perspective, and we can manipulate it. To move the camera live without exiting the view, press EN, then View, and Camera to view. Now we can move the camera. Once we find our angle, uncheck the box and click the middle mouse button to exit the camera view. Let's make a few more objects for aesthetics, using our scaling and movement tools. Once the scene is ready, let's add light. Again, press Shift plus A, select Point Light, and today we'll study only this type. Move it to the right. Then go to the Properties panel, where we can adjust the light source. Let's render the scene and get our first render. Go to the Render tab in the Properties and change it to Cycles. If you have a powerful processor, you can leave it as CPU. Otherwise, switch to GPU. Set it to 64 below. Later, I'll explain what's what. For now, just click as is and set it to 128. Check the denoise box so the image looks smoother. Then go to the top corner and click on the viewport render. Now we have our first render. Adjust the light as you like, experiment with it, and here I'm making a separate collection for the studio and light. I can change the light's color. In general, I'm happy with how it looks. I go back to the camera and press F12 to render. Wait, and the render is done. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more tutorials. See you next time. Ciao.